Each summer, the Revised Common Lectionary has the readings arranged so that the Old Testament or Hebrew Scriptures are in sequence. Year A has the patriarchs and matriarchs, some of the most famous and beloved stories in the Bible. This summer, we have visited Abraham and Sarah, and Isaac and Rebekah, and their sons, Esau and Jacob. From the beginning, Rebekah felt the twins tussling in her womb. Rebekah was told by God that one will be stronger and the elder will serve the younger. In a culture where the eldest has special privileges and inheritance, this is unusual. So the suspense builds. What will be the birth order and what will be their relationships? Esau is born first, with Jacob close behind, holding on to Esau's heel. And the meaning of his name is grasper. Jacob is a shepherd, and Esau becomes a hunter. In order to be successful, a shepherd must plan ahead and be consistent. He must keep up with the sheep, feeding and tending them, keeping them safe and moving them to new meadows in which to feed. A hunter can be more spontaneous and flexible, alert to opportunities. And so Jacob develops leadership skills, but Esau is a loner. Eventually, Esau sells his birthright as eldest son to his brother, Jacob, for the price of a bowl of stew. Neither of them is blameless in that transaction. A mother sees which son is more worthy, and so Rebekah knows that her second son, Jacob, is actually more capable, more suited to bear the covenant of Abraham. So Rebekah encourages Jacob and advises him, and together they fool Isaac on his deathbed into giving his final blessing to Jacob as the one to carry on the covenant of Abraham. Esau has missed out. Because of these incidents, Jacob has often been thought of as a bit of a trickster. But Jacob is a man of his time. Without the traditions of the eldest son getting an extra portion, the birthright, and the blessing, we would have a very different story. In a modern egalitarian society, Jacob would have been allowed to compete with Esau for the leadership of the community and to carry the covenant. Jacob would have naturally won that competition, wouldn't he? Or would Esau have tried a little harder if it had not been promised to him? In order to give his brother time to cool down, Jacob traveled east to the land of Haran to the family of Rebekah's brother, Laban. On arrival, he met Laban's daughter, Rachel, at the well, watering sheep. Jacob works out a deal with Laban to work for him 7 years to earn Rachel's hand in marriage. At the end of 7 years, Laban throws a celebration for them, but after dinner, he sends in his elder daughter, Leah, to Jacob. And the swap is not discovered by Jacob until morning, when it is too late. Jacob, the trickster, has met his match. His uncle Laban convinces Jacob to promise to work for him another 7 years. And in return, he sends in Rachel to Jacob as his wife after Leah has her week with him. After the 14 years, Jacob has trouble working out an exit plan to return home. Laban seems perfectly content with this arrangement, but Jacob needs to return to the land of his father. Jacob works out an agreement to take the speckled, spotted, and striped livestock as his own, so there would be no question of theft. But Laban has his sons hide the speckled, spotted, and striped sheep and goats. Finally, after 20 years, Jacob has had enough. He takes his wives, children, servants, livestock, and leaves secretly without saying goodbye to his father-in-law. Laban follows, and they have words. Jacob says that Laban would have had him leave empty-handed after 20 years of labor. In the end, they set up a stone marker that they would not pass it in going toward the other for harm. So today we find Jacob approaching his brother Esau. Old concerns come back to haunt him. He sends word to Esau that he is returning home. He hears that Esau is coming to meet him with 400 400 men. Feeling threatened, Jacob divides his family and servants into 2 companies so that one of them should be able to survive. Jacob sends ahead extravagant gifts in hopes of appeasing Esau. He sends his family across the Jabbok River and spends the night alone. He has many things on his mind. His relationship with his older brother. After 20 years, he does not know where they stand. And his calling to fulfill the covenant with Abraham. He has done some unethical things to survive. He feels unworthy of his calling. And so during the night, a man comes to contend with him. Now, Jacob is strong and wrestles with him, but eventually daybreak is coming, and the man sees that he does not prevail against Jacob and says to let him go. He strikes Jacob's hip socket on his thigh muscle, and Jacob will limp after that. But Jacob asks for a blessing first. I won't let go until you bless me. It's an echo of Jacob's relationship with his father, wanting his blessing. The man changes Jacob's name to Israel, meaning one who strives with God. Then Jacob asked the name of the man. The man asked why he wanted to know. Then the man blessed Jacob. This story is so powerful that Charles Wesley wrote a hymn about it. Come, O thou traveler unknown. Jacob survives the struggle and finds that he has been transformed. He was accustomed to depending upon his own wit, strength, and hard work. Jacob realizes in the struggle that he must trust and depend upon God. The experience profoundly changed him. Jacob's name change to Israel takes him from being known as grasper to one who strives with God. Names were powerful imprints on a person. They were descriptive for good or ill. People tried to live up to them or escape them. Note that the man does not give his name to Jacob. Having a person's name gave one power over that person. I can really relate to this. Think of someone who didn't like or respect you. What did your name sound like coming from the mouth of that person? I can remember a couple of different relationships where the person only said my name when they were upset with me. I'm sure I didn't like the way that sounded. If someone is going to have your name, you want your name to be safe in that person's mouth. And so one tradition for the Hebrew people was they didn't know God's name. After Moses, they knew it, but they would not say it out of respect. They would substitute the word Lord for the name of the God of Israel. They also had a tradition that one could not see the face of God and live, and this man needed to leave before daybreak. Jacob was one of my favorite characters. He is far from perfect, yet he is so very focused and determined. Jacob feels a strong call, yet he is a bit unethical in the ways he obtains his brother's birthright and father's blessing. Yet his brother did sell it for only a bowl of stew. And Jacob had been contending with Esau since the womb, holding his brother's heel. His mother Rebekah was told that the elder shall serve the younger. It was all part of God's plan. Jacob was chosen to be the next leader. He works very diligently. He is just as often being tricked by others. His uncle Laban gives him a different daughter and hides the spotted livestock. Jacob was a flawed leader, a man struggling through the traditions of his time. Yet he is the one who will become the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. God does not forsake him or replace him, and God can use us if we are willing to serve. God does not require that we be perfect or error-free. Jacob is transformed through his many struggles, wrestling with his brother, his father, his tradition, his uncle, his wives, his conscience, and himself. He is transformed into a man worthy to lead, a man who can trust in God, a leader worthy to be a father of the people of Israel. Jacob is not finished making mistakes. We will see more as he deals with his 12 sons. Sometimes life is so threatening that we want to give up. It may even feel like we are wrestling with God. But continue the struggle. Do not give up, for God is with us in the struggle. When we come out of the struggle, we will prevail. But we will be transformed in the struggle. We will begin to recognize God's presence with us. We will learn to trust in God. We will not be the same as before. We may bear the scars of battle, but we will prevail. Thanks be to God. Alleluia.